One important tip when you start a painting is to work from big to small. It's much easier to design the larger shapes first and then gradually move into the secondary forms and smaller details afterward. And this idea doesn't only apply to shapes themselves, it also applies to your brushwork. For example, in the foreground, I usually work with much larger brushstrokes in the beginning. Then, as the environment moves further away from the camera, I gradually switch to thinner and smaller marks. Hey, this painting took a little bit over 2 hours to complete, and in this video I'll walk you through all the main steps from a simple sketch to the final result. My name is Victor, I work as a concept artist, so let's get started. Since this is a pretty architecture-heavy image, I want to start by laying down a simple perspective grid. We're working with a 3-point perspective setup here, but honestly I'm mostly focusing right now on the vertical convergence of the lines. I mainly want to understand where those tall structures are leaning and how dramatic the camera angle is going to feel. Well, the important thing right now is just to get a believable sense of scale and direction. I'm imagining the character walking towards this massive tower in the center. The camera is tilted upward just slightly, so the whole scene feels a bit more imposing and dramatic. You can really see that upward angle doing a lot of work already, even before we add details. So keep an eye on that as we move forward. By the way, if you've been struggling improving your digital paintings consistently, or you feel like you're jumping between random tutorials without really understanding the bigger picture, that's exactly why I created my digital painting mastery program. The goal, of course, is not just to show you how I paint, but to actually give you a structured roadmap that you can follow step by step. Because honestly, most beginners don't fail due to lack of talent, they fail because they're practicing without direction. Inside the program, we focus on the fundamentals that actually make the biggest difference in your work. And instead of overwhelming you with disconnected information, everything is organized in a very clear progression, so you always know what to study next and why it matters. So if you're serious about improving your digital art and want a more structured approach instead of guessing your way through tutorials, check out the link below and join the program. Right now though, I'm just building the scene with simple shapes, a few blocky structures, some secondary buildings, a road leading toward the focal point, maybe some vegetation around the foreground, and in the distance I'm thinking about adding a fortified wall to help frame the environment a bit better. Now at this stage, accuracy really doesn't matter that much. You just want a clear roadmap for the painting, where all the major shapes are, where is the focal point, how is the viewer's eye going to travel through the image. Those questions are much more important right now than any tiny details. Okay, once the sketch feels solid enough, you can start blocking in color. In the beginning, I always try to work with larger brush strokes. There is really no reason to zoom in just yet. The goal is to establish the bigger relationships first, so I'm starting with the sky, putting down some soft gradients and a few clouds just to establish the atmosphere. After that, I begin filling in all the major elements with that flat color. You can go over the buildings, the vegetation, the ground plane. Everything just gets a simple color pass. Some of these colors come from reference images and some I just make up as I go. At this point, it's more about creating separation between objects than choosing the perfect color palette. And honestly, the colors are probably going to change several times before the painting is finished anyway. So don't get too attached to them early on. Right now, the image looks extremely flat, which is completely normal. That's actually the point where the painting finally starts getting interesting, because now we can begin describing the form with light and shadow. So let's say the light source is coming from the upper right side. Once you establish that, the whole environment immediately starts making a bit more sense. Now every object has direction, every plane has purpose, and this is usually the stage where beginners either overcomplicate things or start rendering too early. Try not to do that. Instead, keep the shadows simple at first. Now I'm just grabbing one of my textured brushes and blocking in broad shadow shapes across the buildings and vegetation. Nothing too polished yet. I'm mostly thinking about readability. How clearly can you understand the scene from far away? That's the real test. The foliage in the foreground is also important because it helps frame the character and the tower. So I'm designing those shadow masses carefully to create like a nice visual border around the focal point. Sometimes you can soften the edges, sometimes you can sharpen them a bit depending on the form you're trying to describe. And you can notice that sometimes I keep adjusting the values as I go. Some shadows get darker, some areas get lighter again. That constant push and pull is a huge part of the process. You're basically sculpting the image with values and you're trying to understand the relationship between them. And if you pay attention later on, you'll notice that some of the darkest areas are actually pretty small, and that's intentional. Tiny areas of strong contrast can have a huge impact on readability. Now that the lighting is starting to work, we can spend some time designing the architecture a bit. This part is honestly one of the most fun stages for me because now the environment starts feeling believable. I'm looking at references for windows, balconies, all sorts of support beams, and different architectural shapes. The goal isn't to copy anything exactly. I just want enough believable information so the viewer feels like this place could actually exist. So you can indicate windows on the main tower first, then you can move to the foreground buildings, and still you may keep things pretty loose. Don't worry too much about tiny details yet. What's really more important is to design interesting shapes and proportions. One thing I'm paying attention to is how the shadows wrap around the cylindrical tower. As the structure is rounded, the shadow transition needs to feel softer. At this point though, the shadows still feel a little shallow, that there is not enough depth yet. So now you can start introducing some occlusion shadows. These are darker areas where planes intersect, where the light has trouble reaching. The roofs, inside cracks, around window frames, anywhere two surfaces meet. Adding these darker accents instantly gives the architecture more weight and structure, and this is actually one of the fastest ways to make environments feel more dimensional. You don't need crazy detail, you just need convincing value relationships. I also want the foreground on the left side to frame the character a bit more clearly, so I darkened the foliage there and start adding more shape variation. You can also try giving the nearby building a bit of a wooden framework, for example, to separate the materials visually a little bit. Small material changes like this go a long way in making the environments feel richer, more believable, and afterwards we can start adding texture to some of these larger empty surfaces, especially the bright wall in the central building. Large flat shapes can get boring really quickly if there is no variation at all, or at least something interesting to them. So maybe you can add subtle gradients or texture patterns inspired by stone walls and weathered surfaces. A texture brush with some scattering works really well for this kind of thing. And remember, you don't need to manually paint every little crack, you just want to suggest surface information. And even now, I'm still adjusting the values constantly. Sometimes I darken the whole side of a building, sometimes I soften an edge, sometimes I realize an area is pulling too much attention, I tone it down a little. That's a normal part of the process. A lot of people think professionals just know exactly what to do from the start, but honestly, most of this process is just making decisions and correcting them as you go. Of course, it's really cool to be prepared, and then the process becomes much easier. And of course, you can have lots of fun with this type of environments. Maybe you want to add some banners hanging from the walls, maybe there are markings painting onto the buildings. Little details like this that hint at some culture or history of the place is going to make your environment much stronger. I also felt like the area behind the tower on the left side was getting a little empty, so instead of leaving it as it is, as just plain vegetation, I decided to add another structure, maybe like a gate, maybe an entrance leading deeper into the city. Something simple, but enough to create another layer of depth and storytelling. You can create a new layer and just quickly block in the structure with broad strokes. Then you can add cast shadow from the tower so it feels grounded in the same lighting setup. And this is also a good time to kind of clean up messy transitions and improve integration between objects. Sometimes the shape technically works, but it still feels disconnected from the environment. Softening or merging some edges can help a lot with that. I also flip the canvas horizontally pretty often during this stage. That's one of the easiest ways to spot perspective mistakes or some awkward proportions. Your brain gets used to looking at the image one way for too long. Flipping it gives you a fresh perspective immediately. Alright, now it's finally time to work on your character in the foreground. Compared to the environment, this part is actually pretty straightforward. I start with flat colors for the clothing, armor, hair, and accessories. Then you can start placing shadows based on the same lighting direction we established earlier. At this stage, you should mostly focus on kind of integrating everything in the scene, making sure the character feels like part of the environment instead of something posted on top. Maybe I'll add a bag, like a sword, some extra armor pieces, small details that help the story, who is this person, and so on. That kind of storytelling can really elevate a simple environment painting. Now, towards the end of the process, it's mostly about refinement and consistency. I'm adding a little bit more color variation here and there, maybe some yellow flowers in the foreground, a few pathways in the distance, tiny accents that help break up larger shapes. One important habit in digital painting is zooming out. You never want to get trapped working on tiny details for too long. You want to keep looking at the image as a whole. That's how you can spot areas that are too noisy or distracting. I'm also looking carefully at the edges now. Some edges should stay sharp near the focal point, others can soften or even disappear completely. That edge variation helps direct the viewer's eye naturally through the image. And finally, I'll do one last color pass to slightly enhance some of the warmer tones in the buildings. Nothing too extreme, just enough to give the image a little more life and atmosphere. Alright, now let's take a look at the final image. At the very end, I pushed the sharpness slightly around the focal point and added a few subtle color accents here and there, nothing major, mostly small adjustments to improve clarity and presentation. And that's pretty much it for this one. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I hope this walkthrough gave you some useful ideas for your own environment paintings. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe, it helps a lot. And if you have any questions about the process, definitely leave them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.